listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Hello, everybody. I am Roger B. Those are the gunshots of freedom ringing out through America.
Shots of liberty.
That's
Shots
right.
Of justice.
The song of freedom. Because everybody knows that's the song of freedom. That's right. Gunshots being fired, the tears of a 5.56 being ripped through. Yes. Okay, I'm Roger B. This is Locked and Loaded, and we're going to talk about guns today. And people who use guns in good ways and people who use guns in bad ways. So
we recommend the good ways.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, of course, you're going to run into people who are going to argue with you about this, and they're going to tell you you're wrong and things aren't right, and you're an idiot, and you're dumb for liking guns. Well, let me tell you something. I just found this quote today. I'm going to throw this out there so you'll know you're on the right side when you discuss with facts and figures and information, and they start calling you names. When the debate is lost, slander becomes the tool of the losers. And that was Socrates.
Socrates.
So let's make sure we get that known because, you know what? He's right. If they start calling you names, you just won the argument.
You know, Roger, there might be some people out there who aren't familiar with Socrates. And if you're not, I recommend go watch the movie Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Socrates.
So you'll learn about Socrates. I mean Socrates.
But today we got a little bit of political stuff, and of course there were 2 shootings last week. Well, there were way more than 2 shootings, but there were 2 that garnered the attention of the media.
Roger, there was probably about 100 in Chicago alone.
Oh yeah, 3 people died in Chicago over the weekend.
Yeah.
But yet that doesn't seem to garner any newsworthy attention.
Well, you can't point out what happens in a Democrat-run city. Shame on you.
That's right. Oh, my God. Shame on me. I should not be doing that. But in Santa Clarita, now I have family in Santa Clarita.
We know that area quite well.
And this took place in a school, Saugus High School in Santa Clarita, California. Now, California is not known for being a super gun-friendly state. Although you can have them, and I know for a fact you can because I know people out there who do. But a 16-year-old is not allowed to buy a gun. Not allowed to buy a rifle, not allowed to buy a shotgun till he's 18. Not allowed to buy a pistol, which is what he used, till he's 21. So a 16-year-old student came in, started shooting people. Okay, so he was breaking the law by shooting people, breaking the law by even having the gun. And, of course, the Democrats are yelling for more gun control right away. Oh, my God, we need to pass better laws. We need to do this. The guy broke every law they passed, getting his gun and shooting people. It's ridiculous. However, let me tell you this about this particular shooting. There were off-duty police officers there, and they responded within seconds. Supposedly within 16 seconds, they charged into the building, cornered the guy, and ended up shooting himself. So who knows what he would have done had he not been stopped by a good guy with a gun. So there you go. Pay attention to that because if there were no off-duty police officers there, who knows how long this would have gone on for? Who knows how many people would have been killed?
Probably quite a while and probably quite a few, unfortunately, because you can't have a gun in California, basically. I mean, no one around there probably was.
Unless you're law enforcement. Yeah, the carry permits are may issue, which means you have to prove you need one first.
Let me put it this way. If you're an elitist in California, if you're part of the political establishment, Democrat establishment, or if you're part of the Hollywood ilk, then you can have armed guards all around you. They can carry. But you, the peasant, you, that citizen that lives around that school in Santa Clarita, why would you need to protect yourself?
Yeah, you don't need. Our kids, the kids who go to school in the good areas probably have armed guards there. All the people in Washington, all their kids go to school with armed guards. But we're just little, we're down low on the totem pole. We have to submit to the monarchy that is Washington. And you know what? The only reason they get this way is because we, the people, put them up there.
Well, that's true, Roger. And you make a great point about the education of the politicians. I beg you to find one politician, especially Democrat politician in Washington, who has kids who go to a government school.
Oh, yeah, probably none. Very unlikely. Nope. Because they know that education is not what you need to be completely successful. Now, it can be done, but it's very much more difficult.
Yeah.
But having people protect your school like that, having the off-duty officers there with guns was enough to probably save many people's lives just by having them there, because they're allowed to carry guns while nobody else in California is. You cannot be your own first responder in California unless you're home. So, and Kamala Harris got on CNN saying, "Stop with the nonsense and pass gun control." California already has some of the strictest gun control in the country, along with Chicago.
And bullet control.
And what?
And bullet control.
That's right. Bullets, too. You have to have an ID and a license just to purchase ammunition out there. So it's not like you can find that either. But this 16-year-old kid apparently got everything just as easy as anybody could have, and went and committed this ridiculously tragic act and killed, I believe, 2 other students so far and wounded a bunch of others. So these people need to realize laws are not going to make a difference, because people who are going to shoot you when you're not deserving to be shot are not obeying the laws anyway. You can't pass more laws and expect people to obey them. You have to have a way to stop the people who are breaking the law. You have to enforce the laws that are there and stop the people who are breaking them. That's the only way to do this. You have to be in a state where you can carry your weapon. Be your own first responder. Be your family's own first responder. Be your friend's own first responder.
You know, I want to add something to that. If you are carrying a weapon, no matter where you go, look around and formulate a plan. It's just like I taught my kids, and I was taught when I was playing baseball. When you're on the defense playing baseball and you got the batter up at the plate, the ball's going to come to you. The ball is coming to you, and you need to know, what are you going to first or second or third or home with that ball when it comes to you.
Right.
Same way
plan
when
for
you're
the
carrying.
eventuality, yes.
Now, I want to throw you
A curveball?
Yeah, a curveball. I hate to say this, but gee, we lost a listener.
Uh-oh.
And he
I only
emailed
have
me.
6.
Well, no, now you only have 5. So
well, the other
but
way to look at
anyway,
that is
but that shows that we can count.
That's
well,
right.
And also, a spot opened up for a new listener.
Yeah, well, that's right. And this person sent me an email and chastised you and me.
Oh, awesome.
for-
I love getting hate mail.
Yeah, well, for
We read that on the air?
For calling guns weapons. So I emailed him back and I said, obviously, you never served in the military. What good have you been to your country? Because he wants you and everybody else. They're not called guns or weapons. They're called firearms. Now, how many times have you heard somebody come in and their guns all around and their weapons all around? I'd like to buy a firearm.
Well, not all. Well, yeah, I actually wrote him back, because not all firearms and guns fall under the
Oh, you got
heading
the mail
of
too?
weapons. Yes, I did. I got that email. And I mean, he was saying, the term gun, I know, is used. They don't use it in the military because they use the term firearm, weapon, or rifle.
They don't use the term. I never heard firearm in the military.
Usually it's rifle.
It was. I heard weapon.
This is my
period.
rifle. This is my
No,
gun.
this is
My
my
gun.
weapon. No, this is my weapon. This is my gun.
Right.
One is for fighting. One is for fun.
fun.
And they use the term. And you were to use. And I was in light arms infantry, and they use the term weapon. And if you said gun, you would get. Give me 10.
Right.
You know, I can attest to that because I have seen basic training where it says you will not discharge that weapon until you are told so.
That's
so
right.
I can agree to that.
And everything's a weapon, whether it's an M16 or a 50 caliber, a 60 caliber, or a law. It's
I could be a weapon. Check out the guns.
That's right.
a 10-inch, whatever.
Okay,
Let's be careful where this show's going.
it's only a 22, but I got it.
Okay, so you emailed him back too?
Yes. I understood what he was saying, and we talked. I gave him a little explanation, and I just I had to look some stuff up and realize that guns and firearms fall under the general heading of weapons, and then gun is a civilian colloquial term for firearm.
Well then,
So-
oh my goodness! You mean I have to go home and lose night's sleep because Yo-Yo wants?
He might
us
still be
to say
listening?
firearms? I don't think he is.
He might be. You know what? I bet he. He might be listening. You know,
I
some
wasn't
people,
getting chastised.
some people
he just
that,
said he just pointed it out.
Some people that get energized by listening, they can't stay away.
I know, and it happens all the time. People call magazines clips and that kind of stuff, you know. So, you know,
True.
there's that too.
You know that's funny, Roger, because how many times, Roger, do we watch a movie and we can't help ourselves but call out a lot of the
Movie flaws.
And I can't help it. I'm a very observant person, and Roger, you know, you and I have fun at the movies. In fact, sometimes people don't want to sit near us.
Oh, they usually don't. I would not recommend that. If you ever see us at the movies, don't sit near us.
Can you put the clip back in, or can you put the pin back in the hand grenade?
I guess you could if you don't let go of the lever.
Technically, you might be able to put the pin back in, but I can't promise you'll stop the spark.
See, now, a hand grenade is a weapon
No.
and not a firearm.
Ask Mike Cleland about it.
Oh, did he get blown up by a hand grenade?
Yeah, blow it up,
His
sir.
own.
Yeah, unfortunately,
goodness.
his own.
Max.
Yeah, Max
But now,
Sherman.
anyway, okay, I want to run over. Let me cover this real quick. We were talking about the shooting.
I didn't know you could get a Purple Heart for dumb, but Cleveland did.
John Kerry
He got 3.
John Kerry,
got
yeah, well,
3.
That's Dumb, Dumb, and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yes.
And let's throw them over the White House wall.
Oh, but not the real ones. Let's throw fake ones over because John Kerry didn't throw the real ones over.
Oh.
He claimed to
That's
have.
because they had his
Yeah.
initials on them.
He claimed to have, so he basically lied about
a
something.
Democrat lying.
Kerry?
What?
A
Lie?
politician
A
lying?
politician lying?
Oh my
It's like
God.
what David mentioned earlier. You know, it's same thing with politicians. How do you know a politician's lying?
His lips,
His
are,
lips
moving.
are moving.
It's amazing.
Do we like anybody? I don't think I do.
No, I don't discriminate. I hate everybody the
You know,
same.
Today we are equal. Well, actually, always we are equal opportunity offenders.
That's right.
And you know, I'm proud to say that.
I can offend anybody if you give me enough time.
That's right.
I have a joke for everything.
I've proven that with 2 marriages.
Yeah, right. You know what it comes down to is the country, at least on the left, has lost their sense of humor. I mean,
I think so.
They
Or their
really,
sense
Well,
of-
really
they've
have.
turned themselves into the biggest joke going.
Yeah, well, that's
or,
true.
Or tolerance. They've lost their tolerance.
I'm not sure they ever had tolerance, but
Just
yeah.
by carrying a gun, I offend people every day. If they found
Every
out, oh my
day.
God, they'd be offended.
Yeah.
Just by saying I own one. Oh my God, oh that's so offensive. How can you do
Hey,
that?
I have
I
offended.
like what you say the best. When seconds count, the cops are
minutes
minutes
away.
away.
Minutes away. Hey, it's just like not too long ago somebody asked me, Victor, how come you carry a gun? And I looked at him and said, because a cop weighs too much. I mean, it's just, you ask me a logical question, I'm going to give you a logical answer. But, it's just crazy.
I think we're going to have to take a minute from all this
Ruh-roh.
fun and frivolity and take a break. I'm Roger B. with Victor Armendariz, and you're listening to Locked and Loaded on America's Web Radio.
Get your pen and paper ready. If there's a move in your near future, I'm here to tell you that the folks I used and now recommend is Around Town Movers. Timothy and the guys recently moved me, and I am and was totally satisfied with a sometimes not so fun experience moving. Call Timothy at 770-378-4708 and make it a good move and a good experience. Around Town Movers for that local or cross-country move. Timothy, Around Town Movers, in my opinion, are the best. That's Around Town Movers. Call them.
The disease of addiction is a life-altering challenge, not just for the person suffering its effects, but also for the family and friends who support and love the one caught in its grasp. What should be the course of treatment? Who is the best person to render treatment? And what is the best place to go for the care that is needed? We know that you want answers to these and many more questions. Call 770-696-9862 and speak to a representative of the Atlanta Healing Center. They can tailor a program specifically designed to address the needs of the person suffering with an addiction or give you guidance as to where that help may be found. Information is the key, and the trained staff at AHC is here to assist. If you wish, you can also get more information on the website located at www.atlantahealingcenter.com.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening. You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Roger B. And joining me today for part of the show is Victor Armendariz from On Point with Victor. And you're listening to Locked and Loaded on America's Web Radio.
And that other voice you hear is legendary Dave.
Dave the Legend, yes. Now, here's something. I saw this story on a site called Bearing Arms. This guy has a very interesting perspective on the Santa Clarita shooting. There was an off-duty cop who basically stopped that shooting within seconds. They claim he responded within 16 seconds. Him and a couple other cops went charging into the building as soon as they heard the shots. Now, if they were in Connecticut and they were off-duty cops with a gun on their person, they would have been felons. It is illegal in Connecticut, even for an off-duty police officer, to carry a weapon onto a school grounds. So they want zero guns on there to help protect them.
So I am to believe some of the best trained people, some of the most intrusive background checks you can be done, they're not allowed to carry a gun.
On school grounds in Connecticut.
Right, in Connecticut.
So Newtown, Connecticut, even if there were cops in the building, if they were off duty, they would not have been allowed legally to carry their guns on the property.
Because if you're a criminal and you criminally obtain a gun, Connecticut has no problem with you going anywhere you want.
Apparently not.
I mean, because where's the legislation? Where's the outcry? Where is the action that they're taking against criminals who criminally obtain a gun? And why don't they focus on that instead of focusing on unarming the people who have had background investigations?
If they would stop people who attempt to buy a gun, stop them when they attempt to buy, knowing if they're felons or they're ex-cons or whatever, they're not allowed to have one and they know it, and they're attempting to buy one, they should prosecute them. But they prosecute 0% of those.
0%.
So it's like they don't want to catch the criminals in the act.
Well, Roger,
the guy selling it at a legal store supposed to have a button under his desk that calls the cops when the report comes back that this guy is not supposed to be buying a gun?
They don't have to. They have to go run the report anyway. I have to walk in the back. Let me make the phone call. Let me get on the computer. They can make whatever excuse they want. Get the cops there if they want to. But no, they don't have to. All they have to do is tell him no. And they don't even have to tell him why.
But but even when they notify the feds don't do anything.
Yeah, they can notify a sheriff's department or a police department, and it's not. They don't do anything about it though. As long as he got denied, they feel like it was done. It was finished. Mm-hmm. Even though he may go to 10 other stores that day trying to buy one, and if something slips through, they're going to say the system doesn't work.
But remember, politicians do not want to actually fix a problem. If they fix the issue and we actually prosecuted people who went and tried to buy a gun illegally, then you would reduce the number of people trying to buy guns illegally, therefore reducing mass shootings or anything else, and therefore they would not have an issue.
They wouldn't be able to cry for gun control laws all the time.
Did he just testify in front of Congress?
I think I did. Wait a minute.
Tell them how things are. But this just struck me as such an odd thing. I mean, Newtown, Connecticut, where all those kids were shot, if there was an off-duty cop on the school grounds, he would not have been legally allowed to have his weapon with him.
Crazy. And, before I testify, though, I will say that I'm not doing it without Mark the Shark. Just saying.
Yes. Definitely have a Sharky attorney there. But I just thought that was an interesting take on that thing in Santa Clarita. Thank goodness they don't have the same laws there. But Connecticut doesn't want any guns in their school grounds, even if they're held by police officers. And I imagine this probably applies to federal officers, too.
I wouldn't be surprised if there are parts of California that might mimic the Connecticut law. Because remember, Santa Clarita is basically Alpharetta to Atlanta, so
it's a suburb. Yeah, it's a northern suburb of Los Angeles.
More of a conservative area, so you actually maybe there's possibility there might actually be a Republican involved in some of the local politics.
Right.
In Santa Clarita, I'm talking just that city.
Right.
Does
the
that
suburbs.
Connecticut law include 6-year-olds that bring their water guns?
Oh, yeah, they're Pop-Tart guns, anything, yeah.
Boy, if you're a 6-year-old now and you bring play Cowboys and Indians, I think you'd be expelled.
You have a stick shaped like a gun, that's probably going to get you kicked out
If
of
you
school.
make a finger and point like a gun and go pew 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 pew, you might be expelled.
If you talk about Star Wars the wrong way, you can be
Yeah.
expelled. That's right.
Has anybody talked to what's his name? If you do this, you might be a redneck. Maybe he could come up with
Oh, Jeff Foxworthy.
yeah,
Maybe
Jack-
we
yeah,
should come up with something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, and get him to do a whole routine about
Well,
it.
we'll just do it ourselves.
Well,
I
you
think
know,
we can do this.
remember, Roger, when we started, in fact, we're going to have to do this again because when we started the show, last year, I guess it was, we had a segment on my show. What do we call it?
You might be a liberal.
Might be a liberal if. So we might need to start that. David, that's why you're the legend. Right
That's
there.
right. Well, how about this? I'm going to throw one out there. There was in the U.S. Senate or U.S. Congress, they were talking about passing a law to give money to states to enforce red flag laws. And I thought, yeah, okay, it's coming. All this is coming. If you don't think red flag laws are coming to your state, you're mistaken. It's just a matter of time. There may be a few holdouts, but it's coming. But
you thought those flags were bad on the foosball field. Just wait.
yeah, but just wait. Okay. But the Democrats would not vote on an amendment to include gang members in the red flag laws. I mean, now, according to the statistics that this Representative Buck said 80% of murders committed with guns are committed by gang members. Now, I don't know if that's accurate. That's what he quoted. And he said 90% of crime in America is committed by gang members.
But yet,
Do you know how to get? I brought this up next door. How to get rid of all the gang members? Do you know how, Victor? I mean, do away with gangs totally. I guarantee it.
how's that?
You close all the tattoo parlors.
Well,
But
that's
then
probably true.
where are the skinny jean, hoop earring, vaping, man bun having
Feel gooders.
hippies gonna get their
Hippies gonna get their
tattoos?
tattoos? Can't they do them to their other using the eucalyptus tree or
I don't know. I don't know how that. I don't
I
know.
mean, shouldn't hippies be all natural?
I guess.
I don't know.
Then
The
they wouldn't
Incas
have.
did it.
They
or
probably
the
have
Aztecs did it.
more hair care products than I do, but it didn't. But you never know. But it was funny because, and then they were talking about taking the gang members off because you don't want to falsely identify a gang member and go after their guns. I was like, but yet you're willing to falsely identify any other citizen, and that's okay. Was it Representative Veronica Escobar, a Democrat from Texas? That sounds like an oxymoron, but anyway, Democrat from Texas brought up the problems of identity confusion in databases of gang members. And then John Lott pointed out the problems of identity confusion in the National Instant Background Check System, the NICS system, especially for minorities. But Democrats have not had a problem with that. But apparently they just want to make sure these gang members can still get their guns, even though they're gang members, or keep their guns in the event of red flag laws. And then someone said, okay, let's just make everybody on a no-fly list not able to have guns at all. Knowing that the no-fly list has been a complete and utter failure as far as putting people on. There have been senators and congressmen accidentally put on no-fly lists.
And it's a 100% failure. And if you're a politician, you get put on that list, you've got the power to take yourself off. If you're a peasant like the rest of us, and we
Yeah.
get put on that list,
It takes an act of Congress to do it.
Roger, yes,
Congress doesn't act honestly.
You look at there have been situations where people have had the same name of somebody on the watch list, and the federal moron had the picture of the person and was looking at the person with the same name who obviously was not that person and still wouldn't take them off the list.
Oh, absolutely not. There was a red flag law in Florida. A guy got all his guns taken away because he had the same name as some woman abusing meth dealer, and he was like 100 pounds heavier, had no hair, totally different person, totally different age and everything, but he had the same name, so he had to surrender his guns, and now he has to go to court to try and fight to get him back at his expense.
The government bureaucrat could not make a judgment call going, okay, logic shows clearly here you're not the guy. Thank you. Sorry we bothered you.
Logic.
Yeah, exactly. Asking the government to do logic. I mean, it's crazy, but you throw out our whole judicial system because now he has to go prove his innocence.
I know, yeah.
messed up.
No due process.
No due process.
No warrants, nothing.
That is why anyone who is for these red flag laws, I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat, if you are for a red flag law, you deserve to be thrown out of office. What?
I said go drown yourself.
Yeah, exactly. we need to throw them out of office.
A short walk off a long walk off a short pier.
A short pier.
But this is just crazy because, I mean, the gang members are responsible for so many gun murders in the United States, a huge percentage of them, but yet they don't want to include them on possible red flag laws.
Isn't that messed up? And what does that tell you? And it also goes to we've got an actual president right now who's using the immigration laws on the books to oust MS-13 members and these gangs.
Cartel members, and drug dealers, and human traffickers.
Yep. But the Democrats are against it.
Because they're losing votes.
Exactly.
Because the only people who are going to protect them are the Democrats.
Yep.
As we're going to break shortly, I want to mention the fact that everyone should take the time, if you're coming to Atlanta or you live in Atlanta and you haven't been down to it, go downtown to the Georgia Military Hall of Fame. They just had their induction ceremony, the 2019 class, on November the 2nd, and I talked to, these guys that get inducted are real heroes, and they have served our country well, and they carried weapons. But anyway, if you haven't been to the military hall, the Georgia Military Hall of Fame, please go down to it. And we've also got something great going on in Johns Creek, Georgia, and we'll tell you about that right now.
Good morning. My name is Mike Mizell. I'm a retired Army colonel and president of the Johns Creek Veterans Association. We meet in Newtown Park, and part of one of our projects is the installation of the Healing Wall, the half-scale model of the Vietnam Wall that traveled the United States. Well, it's coming to rest, and it's going to live in Johns Creek forever, the half-scale model. We're looking at possibly a March implementation ribbon cutting ceremony, and we're looking for donors and sponsors that want to help us in this great project. You can donate at jcvets.org.
Whether cruising the strip in a 57 Chevy or taking the family on a vacation in a 71 Oldsmobile Vista Cruiser, you need to tune in to Classic Cars with Steve Ronaldo and Jim Weber every Saturday from 8 to 9 a.m. on americaswebradio.com.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Hello and welcome back. I am Roger B. This is Locked and Loaded, and you're listening to America's Web Radio. And if you're still here with us, congratulations, because we're going to get into some more good stuff.
All 6 of you.
That's right, and that voice you hear is the famous Victor Armendariz from On Point with Victor.
And if you have friends that want to listen, we might have a spot open.
Apparently, yes.
So,
Just one?
maybe more.
We can squeeze in a few more. It's a small studio, but we can get everybody in here. Come on.
Right.
We're friends. We're all inclusive.
That's something to
Well.
bring up. We do spots for other folks, and we just got our smaller production studio ready to go. So if you're needing to record something, need an MP3 or an MP4, you want to do a video and audio, just let us know. We've got prices for, I don't know, is this discrimination? We have one price for a liberal progressive, dumbass Democrat, and we've got another prize for the wonderful Republicans that want to serve.
Yeah, I don't know if the Republicans are always all that wonderful either.
Depends on which one we're talking about. The never Trumpers are charging triple.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, other than that, we're balanced and fair.
Yes, and if you would like to have your message heard on Locked and Loaded or any of the shows on America's Web Radio, by all means contact us at gm@americasradio.com. And if you have questions for me, specifically Roger at americaswebradio.com. And I welcome all questions, criticisms, any praise. Well, you don't have to give me praise. I prefer the criticism because I want to make improvements because I have a long way to go. Okay, now this story came up. This was not so much about guns as it is about defending yourself, potentially needing to carry a gun, because, especially if you're in Portland, Oregon, because now the deputies of Clackamas County, which is I think the county where Portland, Oregon is located, they have decided they are not going to automatically respond to any calls in Portland city limits. They're going to leave all that stuff to the Portland City Police because they don't feel Portland is providing an atmosphere that's pro-police. In fact, they're doing the exact opposite. They're pushing these anti-police attitudes. They're letting protests go on, and they're letting them badger and hound, harass police officers, and not doing anything to stop them.
I'm pretty sure Portland was the city that allowed Antifa to block streets, pull an old gentleman out of his car, and just basically terrify this.
And they were basically terrorist activities, and the police in Portland were ordered to stand down.
Stand down. So, if I was a deputy around there, I don't think I'd be ready to run and risk my life for a county or a city that's not willing to have my back.
Right. I mean, they want you to go in head first, and then it's like, oh no, we're just going to stand back and watch you get in trouble, because the minute you touch one of these guys, we're going to charge you with police brutality. Yeah, it's
backwards, folks.
And this sheriff, Craig Roberts of Clackamas County, he said he will no longer put his deputies in unnecessary danger.
Good for him.
I know, it's great. Now, he said he will still be working with any federal law enforcement or anything like that needs help, and they will respond if they're directly requested with a SWAT team or, negotiation team or something like that. But as far as general calls, he's not going to be responding anymore to anything in Portland because it's not worth it. He doesn't want to put his deputies in danger where they're letting these terrorists run rampant without doing anything to enforce the laws.
Well, there you go. Another example. You have Portland, a city run by Democrats who empower criminals and criminal behavior, reward criminal behavior, while screwing you, the peasant, the people, the innocent.
Yeah, and Portland, I don't know for a fact. Someone would have to tell me if they know this or not. I would imagine Portland is a no-carry city. They will probably do not issue any permits to carry weapons in Portland or even Washington State in general. I would imagine.
Almost guarantee it.
I would almost bet that. So you can't even be your own first responder there. You can't take care of yourself when the cops aren't there.
I don't even know if you can be your own first responder with a slingshot in the state of Washington.
That's right. You can use foul language, though.
Maybe foul language. You know what? If the Democrats get their way, you can't even use foul language because they're trying to criminalize parts of language.
That's right. If you call somebody an ethnic slur, oh my God, you can get in more trouble than if you pulled a gun on them.
Look what de Blasio's doing in New York. I mean, de Blasio. I don't even want.
De Blasio, Comrade de Blasio.
Comrade, that's exactly what he is.
And of course, with this being done, that's one reason the police bureau is experiencing catastrophic staffing shortages. Imagine that. Nobody wants to work for a city that doesn't support their police officers. Mm-hmm. So this is only going to get worse. Eventually, Portland police are going to move out, they're going to go other places, find other cities to work in where they're respected, where they're honored, and where their work is appreciated. So until then, though, the ones that are still there, I wish you the best of luck in finding a new job and moving out of Portland. But, just do the best you can. But I would not stay there very long because it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. There are a lot of municipalities out there that are begging right now or in big need for police officers. In fact, Gwinnett County being one of them here in Georgia.
Right.
County being another one here in Georgia. So there are places where these Portland officers are probably going to start moving to.
Oh, right,
They're gonna
absolutely.
leave that state.
They won't
or
get out
city.
of there, because I mean, police officers still can get a job almost anywhere in the country.
Just about anywhere.
A good police officer with a good record can get a job almost anywhere. However, nationwide, the anti-police attitude has been on the rise.
Yep.
Of course, some cities are expounding it more than others, and that's sad,
And
very
it's
sad.
being perpetrated by. I mean, this kind of stuff is coming from sitting politicians.
Right, because they have their own armed guards. What do they need police for?
Exactly.
They don't pay attention to what the local citizens need or what their, what kind of protection they should be provided.
You mean the local peasant?
The peasants, yes. Us
mean,
peasants down here at the bottom.
Us peasants here at the bottom, we don't get to participate in this elitism that is your so-called representative.
I know. We fought for this 234 years ago, and it's coming back around. They say history repeats itself. These politicians are staying in office 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
Yep.
They're basically becoming monarchs, and what do you call the female monarchs? Are they monarchs also? I don't know.
Queens.
Queens and kings.
And so we don't upset some of the listeners out there. We mean queen as in the monarchy.
Yes, right.
Not as in the lifestyle.
No, but there's nothing there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just may have gotten locked and loaded in trouble.
No. We're all inclusive as long as you believe in Second Amendment rights. You're included here.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. We don't judge much.
Well, no, not at all. Like I say, if you're anti-Second Amendment, you're probably going to be offended, but that's okay because
Well, you should be.
I have my First Amendment rights.
Exactly. For now, we still
Of
do.
being an anti-Second Amendment person.
And we have the First Amendment right to speak. You do not have any amendments that say you can't be offended.
That's right. That's not even a commandment either.
There is no Department of Happiness. There's no. I mean, despite what the liberals are telling their,
Yeah, they want to give you everything to try and make you happy so you'll vote for them.
you'll vote for them.
The only way to get happy is to make it yourself. Choose to be happy.
Exactly.
And happiness is a warm, belt-fed weapon.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, now the Portland mayor was the one who did. I just said allowed Antifa violence to take over the streets. He allowed them to run rampant in the streets, attack citizens, block traffic, and did not allow the police to do anything about it.
While all their faces were covered.
I think the only difference is that the coloring of the mask is black now instead of white.
Exactly.
So, it reminds
Just
me of
saying.
something that happened back in the mid-1800s.
You know something? I mean, if I could just think about it, it was something about people covered in white.
That's right.
Way
and
back when,
and attacking people who...
Attacking people.
Yes, it was a very similar idea going on here.
Yep. Just
Because
the only
they
thing
didn't want their
changed.
faces to be seen.
Yep. Gosh, if I could only think of that, I'll have to ponder
To
that.
look up there and see what triple letter designation we can
Yeah,
come
I
to
feel
with
like
that.
there was 3 letters.
But they're all the same.
They were all the same.
Okay, but so the Antifa is doing the exact same thing. They're doing the exact thing they claim to be against. They're using fascism, they're using terrorism to fight against people's rights and take their rights away. It's amazing, though, in this generation, they're marching to have their rights taken away. They're marching against having the right to keep guns, against having the right to free speech. They're marching against all this stuff. And people in Hong Kong are fighting for their lives with bows and arrows, which are weapons, not firearms, because it's all they have. They don't have a Second Amendment to protect their right to keep and bear arms.
No, they don't.
And they're trying to get what they think is the best part of America is our freedom. And here we are trying to shut down freedom on every possible avenue.
And they're waving United States flags all over Hong Kong.
I say we trade. Send Antifa over there, take the
and
Hong
let's
Kong
take the
people over here.
Let's take the Hong Kong citizens. Because think about it, Roger. The Hong Kong citizens are waving American flags, but we can't put the Betsy Ross flag on a shoe
That's right, because that's offensive.
because it's offensive. I mean, it's just so backwards.
Like I was talking to Victor earlier, and think about this. Look at Hong Kong, and if communism was so great, why are they protesting? Why are they wanting out of it? Why are they wanting out of? And communism is just an advanced degree of socialism.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's socialism after they take all the guns away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And and here we are trying to go socialistic, and this has been planned for since probably into the 50s, and if not before then. And I'm not sure that McCarthy wasn't 200% correct. And right now communism is alive and well in the United States. And the sooner we start accepting this and backing our police, backing people that are anti-socialistic.
Right. Getting away from the give everything to everybody for free without having to work for it. That's no way to make a country great again.
Hey, look.
That's it.
Look, throughout history, there's never been a country like the United States with freedom and liberty at the helm that had a wall to keep people in. So think about it.
That's right. The Berlin Wall, the walls in China, the wall, the guard, the wire fences in Russia.
Yeah, look at all the fences, all the barriers. They kept people in. That's why they went.
But first, they take their guns away.
And they take their guns away. They take their individuality away.
Now you got to wonder, what is the government planning on doing after 234 years where they're going to take your guns away? What are they planning on doing that's going to make you want to shoot them for it? I really wonder about that sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had the Second Amendment for 234 years. And yes, there are issues, and freedom has a price. It does. There are people who are going to abuse this freedom. However, perhaps if our immigration system gets worked out, I mean, it does need to be fixed. It doesn't work right now. It takes too long. There's too much red tape, too much money involved to get somebody who's a good person, a citizen. Yeah, too much bureaucratic red tape.
Well, Roger, it's simple. If you have a proper immigration system where you're getting a lot of educated people, you're getting people to come in to assimilate, they may not vote Democrat.
Exactly. They're going to vote for freedom. They're going to vote for liberty. They're going to vote for individual rights, which is what they came here for in the first place. Because they've lived on the other side of the fence. They know what it's like.
Yeah.
You can't fight back. You have nothing to fight back with. Like I say, the Hong Kong students are using bows and arrows taken from the archery classes in their schools. That's all they've got. They're using improvised weapons to fight off police brutality.
Yep.
And they only want their freedom. They want to be allowed to, worship, speak, live a free life. And that's all they ask to do. And unfortunately, without a Second Amendment, they can't fight for it. It's very difficult to fight for it. When the government has all the guns, they make all the rules.
Oh, absolutely. Look, if anybody has any doubt out there, and I don't want you to go buy this book, just go check it out in the library, because I don't want you to buy it because I don't want to give this guy any more money. But if you want to go check out a book called Rules for Radicals, and you will see will see the requirements of what communism requires, what they stand for, and how they
step by step.
Right, step by step. You cannot have a communist state with individuals. That is why you hear all this, it takes a village crap talk, or it's for common good, or that kind of crap talk. Because you cannot have individualism and have communism or socialism. So you must lose the individuality. So you want to look, read Rules for Radicals, check it out of a local library, and you'll see exactly where we will be headed if we allow socialism to creep in and communism and all those crazy things.
Yeah.
But let's get back to guns.
Yes. Well, now that you mentioned, I want to bring up one more quick story. This is 60 Minutes was covering a sheriff's standoff over red flag laws in Colorado. Now, this sheriff has basically said, he goes, I am not going to enforce these laws. They are not constitutional. I swore on oath to uphold the Constitution. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. I ran over a little bit. We'll be right back. This is America's Web Radio.
The Docs for Patient Care Foundation is your way to join the fight and become a member of an organization created by doctors for patients dedicated to fighting for your healthcare freedom and preserving the doctor-patient relationship. Get a pen and paper. Write down www.docsforpatientcarefoundation.org. That's www.docsforpatientcarefoundation.org. Go to our site and please make a generous tax-deductible donation and join the fight today. Thank you.
45 years of experience is behind the most trusted name in auto transportation. Passport Transport, the first and finest today. That's why Passport Transport is the preferred auto transport for larger auto manufacturers, concours, museums, tours, and collectors, and should be your choice from across the state to across the country. When you have the need, go to PassportTransport.com and enjoy the peace of mind referenced experience will give you. Passport Transport.
Last week, my party chief said he wanted to go someplace he had never been before. So, I took him to the rear property line. Sound familiar? Are you tired of trudging all the way to the back of property lines? Why not take the steps to become a crew chief instead? Or even better, why not become a professional land surveyor and see your name stamped on that final survey? The Netherman Institute of Land Surveying Engineering Technology is your next step. At NICET, we believe you are the future of surveying, and we want to do everything we can to help you succeed at becoming a professional surveyor. NICET offers the only online one-year certificate of land surveying program that includes all books, fees, and expenses in one simple price. Visit landsurveycareer.com to stop trucking through the mud and step into your future today.
Good morning. My name is Mike Mizell. I'm a retired Army colonel and president of the Johns Creek Veterans Association. We meet in Newtown Park, and part of one of our projects is the installation of the Healing Wall, the half-scale model of the Vietnam Wall that traveled the United States. Well, it's coming to rest, and it's going to live in Johns Creek forever, the half-scale model. We're looking at possibly a March implementation ribbon cutting ceremony, and we're looking for donors and sponsors that want to help us in this great project. You can donate at jcvets.org.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Hello and welcome back. This is America's Web Radio, and the show is locked and loaded. I am Roger B.
Pew, 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 pew.
And that other voice you hear is Victor Armendariz with an occasional
There it is.
with an occasional bounce in from Dave the Legend, the station owner, producer, manager. He's our boss.
All the above.
But we were talking about 60 Minutes was talking to a sheriff about a standoff over red flag laws. And this sheriff has flat out said, he goes, I am not going to enforce laws that I don't believe are constitutional. He says, I took an oath to uphold the Constitution. And the Constitution clearly states that enforcing a red flag law violates like 6 amendments.
At least.
At least. No due process. No warrant served.
warrant
We're taking these
search,
away
and-
based on whose opinion. Oh, well, the guy you work with said you might be crazy, so we're going to take your guns away. Not prove anything, just take
Right.
accusations. And they said, oh, well, this could get you in big trouble. He goes, I would rather go to my own jail and sit there than to enforce laws that are unconstitutional.
Yeah. Good
Now,
for him. We need more people like him.
We need a lot more people like him. I hope
we need
other-
people in Congress like him.
Yeah, well, let's not get crazy. That requires voting.
Yes.
But even so, this sheriff was adamant about standing up for the Constitution, doing what's right, and not enforcing laws that he didn't feel were constitutional, which this one clearly is not. So we may have a way to fight back against the red flag laws if they just aren't enforced by local law enforcement. If they stand up and say, oh, yeah, we'll get to it. If they act the same way they do in California, New York, Washington, New Jersey about issuing gun permits as they do about going after red flag laws, then we'll be fine. Because they usually push them all the way to the bottom of the pile.
That's right.
They have one person working on them, and they take forever to do anything. And that person takes a lot of breaks, apparently.
Apparently.
I mean, in New York, they say it takes between 6 and 9 months just to get a permit to purchase a gun, not carry it, just purchase a handgun.
They do it on purpose.
Of course they do. It slows. They throw speed bumps out there.
Yep.
Well, let's hope these sheriffs do the same thing to these red flag laws and slow them down, stop them, drag them down to where they just become unenforceable, where they can't do anything with them.
Let's hope.
And he held his position during the 60 Minutes interview. He didn't back down a bit. He said there's no way he was going to enforce a law. He'd rather go to jail than enforce a law that he didn't think is constitutional.
That's great, and rightfully so. I mean, the Constitution's on his side. But, they would rather you be on the side of elitist politicians.
Right. Well, there's been talk among the preppers, the survivalists, the boogaloo crowd, that if the government were to fall apart, who would enforce their will? Would the military be willing to fight against its own citizens? Illegally, of course, because it's illegal to use the military against citizens.
Exactly. So we would hope that wouldn't happen.
We would hope that they would actually look and go, you know what, this is wrong. I took an oath. I'm not going to be a Nazi and say I'm just doing my job. This is not the job I signed up for.
Yeah.
I swore an oath to support the Constitution, not to obliterate it.
Not to obliterate it. And the only time I want to see active military on United States grounds here, in the lower 48.
He's in a parade.
Well, okay, that's one. The second reason is during Zombieland.
That's right.
I'll happily stand with our men and women in uniform.
Yeah, because if you're a zombie, I think you give up your citizenship automatically.
Absolutely, automatically.
Yeah, so
it's
okay.
Rights.
It's okay for them to go against the zombies because they are not really citizens
because
anymore.
They're not really citizens anymore.
That's right. If you can't say the Pledge of Allegiance, then you're not a citizen.
Oddly enough, though, zombies find a way to vote Democrat.
I know.
It's amazing how these things happen.
Well, because you got to realize they eat brains, and liberals' brains are so rare.
Nothing but logic here. We follow the logical line.
But yeah, I'm just hoping that the military and police departments throughout the country will look at these red flag laws and goes, these are completely unconstitutional. You can't enforce these. They're not legal. And eventually it may come to a court case and somebody may decide, oh, you know what, we can't do this. I mean, it's in practice. I mean, in theory, it sounds like a great idea. Let's take somebody's freedom away until we prove they're guilty.
Hey, look, all the feel-good and wonderful emotions that are set forth by Democrats are usually horrible, ridiculous laws that are going to hurt
Well, freedom
the innocent.
isn't free. It's going to cost something, and sometimes it unfortunately costs lives.
Yep.
But you can't just take people's guns away because somebody points them and says, "Oh, I don't like them." They need to. It sounds like an impeachment proceeding going on.
Boy, doesn't it?
Everything with things with guns can be explained. It can explain everything.
Everything.
Absolutely, the Second Amendment can work in all kinds of ways. So, in fact, now we're going to leave the United States and go to Ireland for a minute. North Ireland, where they intercepted guns coming into Ireland. Now, Ireland has extremely strict gun control laws, as does Britain, Scotland, Wales, all those. Yeah, it's nearly impossible to have a firearm
socialist
in
countries.
Any of those countries. Yeah, socialist countries. But apparently they intercepted a shipment coming in. They were bringing in dozens of AR-15s, thousands of rounds of ammo. And you're going, okay, so if they can bring all this into a country that has laws preventing it from even existing in the country, what makes them think if they change laws in the United States, they're going to stop it from coming in? I mean, cocaine is illegal in the United States. Methamphetamine is illegal in the United States. But yet seems like any third grader can walk around a schoolyard and find it.
Yeah.
So I doubt laws are not going to do it.
Clearly that shipment in Ireland, Northern Ireland, they just misread the address because I'm pretty sure it said "On Point with Victor Show." America's, I'm pretty sure that was the address. Boy, they got that one wrong.
North Atlanta, not North Ireland.
Atlanta, exactly.
But yeah, it just goes to show you that now in Northern Ireland though, these are where the I don't know. Depending on which side of the fence you're on, whether you're freedom fighters or terrorists, depending on which side of the fence you're on, and history will eventually determine how that goes.
Yep.
And whoever wins will write the history. Because according to the
rewrite it.
according to the British, the American colonists were indeed terrorists.
Yeah.
And then we became free and we were patriots.
And now they all want to come here. The monarchy, the elitists, want to come here for their health care.
Of course they do, because socialist health care sucks. It's like going to the post office for health care. Oh, my God. Have you been to a post office lately?
Oy vey.
I'm telling you. But, yeah, it just goes to show you, in a country where no guns are allowed at all, they're still bringing in shipments of military-styled weapons. I'm not going to call them assault weapons because they're not assaulting anybody yet.
There's no...
Firearms.
Firearms.
Yes. Guns, firearms, weapons.
There's no such thing as an assault weapon.
Yes. But if gun control worked, that wouldn't happen. If you just had to put a sign up and keep everybody out, you'd be good to go. I know.
Yep.
So, so people in Ireland are now going to find themselves facing attackers who are armed while they have nothing to defend themselves with except potatoes.
Potatoes.
And maybe, you could always break a whiskey bottle. Whiskey bottle. A beer bottle, break a beer bottle, break a whiskey bottle.
Whiskey in the jar.
Broken bottle.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it just goes to show you that
that's just crazy.
Having the laws makes no difference because people are not going to obey laws. They're not going to obey laws. They're going to bring stuff in anyway.
Criminals
Same thing with
won't
drugs.
Yeah.
Okay, one quick parting shot, so to speak. Randy Wise set a record at the Ultra Long Range World Record with a 2,158-yard shot during the 2019 NRA Extreme Long Range Nationals. He was firing a .338 Lapua rifle out of a Savage action, and he set the record 26-inch barrel, 1 9-inch twist, with a bipod and a Rifle Basics trigger. The scope was a Golden Eagle Vortex. He's using a 300-grain hybrid bullet and 90 grains of powder.
It was the hybrid bullet.
Yes, the hybrid bullet.
That's what did it.
Makes energy along the way. No, but 2,158 yards. He hit a 36 by 36-inch steel plate. Not once, not twice, but three times in a row.
Man, did this hybrid bullet have a solar panel on it? And was it sunny day? Was it a sunny day?
And just to give you an idea, 2,158 yards is 1.23 miles.
I want to know what kind of arc he used.
Oh, why did it pick up speed as it was getting closer?
It had solar panels and hybrids.
It
Bullets.
was a hybrid.
And wheels.
Had to charge it beforehand, yes. No, but I thought that was pretty amazing. And they filmed the whole thing. It's on video somewhere, so you can see him do this. And this was a few months ago, but still, he did 3 for 3 shooting a 36-inch steel plate at 2,158 yards away.
Oh, shucks, torn nothing.
That is just awesome.
You said you could do it, Roger.
Yeah, if I was sending 10 yards away.
I sure would like to try. Well, I don't have to hit it. I just want to shoot.
Just taking the shot out of a 338 Lapua. That's right.
The shot with that Lapua.
Well, folks, that's all the time we have today. We got to wrap it up. This has been the Locked and Loaded Show. I am Roger B., joined by Victor Armandaris and Dave the Legend.
Pew pew.
And we will be back soon and talk more about guns, weapons, and firearms.
Guns.
Perhaps you are struggling to cope with the disease of addiction. If not, you probably know a family member or friend that needs help in battling the cravings and the personal and professional damage done by the effects of drugs or